We wanted to begin this legislative session and our work together with hearing first and foremost from student voices. And we've partnered with the Minnesota Youth Council to solicit those voices from across the state. The upside of the pandemic is the greater ease with which people from across the state can participate in the legislative process. The Minnesota Youth Council committee was established in statute in 2013 under the auspices of the Minnesota Alliance with Youth. The committee consists of 4 members from each congressional district in Minnesota and 4 members selected at large. The duties of the council is to provide advice and recommendations to the legislature and governor on issues affecting youth, and to serve as a liaison for youth around the state to the legislature and the governor. There is members of Minnesota Youth Council committee that meets twice each year during the regular session of the legislature. They select introduced bills in the House of Representatives and the Senate for consideration for a public hearing before the Committee of Youth. There is nothing as terrifying as presenting one of your bills before that committee. They are smart, they ask tough questions, and they are relentless. It's a great group of students to have engaged in the legislative process, and Minnesota is very lucky to have that structure in place. Kaycie, Brookens has joined us from Fairmont, and I want to make sure that we get to hear Kaycie's voice in these discussions. So Kaycie, welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself and then proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be able to testify to you all today. My name is Kaycie Brookens. I am a junior at Fairmont Junior Senior High School, and this is my first year as a representative on the Minnesota Youth Council for Congressional District 1. And so with that, am I good to proceed with my testimony?
You certainly are. Thank you, Kaycie.
Excellent. Chair Dabney and members of the committee, my name is Kaycie Brookens, and I am a youth representative for Congressional District 1 for the Minnesota Youth Council. I serve on the Health and Wellbeing Subcommittee, and although this is my first year as a representative, I have been engaged with my community for a number of years. I am an 11th grade student from Fairmont Junior Senior High School, as you previously heard, and it is my honor to be able to testify on the behalf of not only my fellow peers, but for students throughout my congressional district. And if you find yourself unfamiliar with the town of Fairmont, that's all right. It is a rural town residing in District 23A, if that rings a bell, with a population of around 10,000, and it's about 10 miles north of the Iowa border. The pinpoint location of my hometown is not critical information, but what is the experience I have as a rural student within that town. The rural areas in which thousands of students throughout my district reside each come with their own set of unique challenges, especially in regards to distance learning. It goes without saying that adapting to a distance learning model has been less than ideal for students, parents, and educators alike around the state of Minnesota. However, there are outstanding discrepancies in distance learning when it comes to students living in rural communities like mine. When first making the transition to distance learning in March of last year, it was staggering to see the amount of technology discrepancies throughout my student body. As I observed the needs of my peers as I went from class to class, I was astounded by the amount of students that did not have adequate technology or resources to complete simple coursework at home. And I quickly came to the realization that this inaccessibility not only posed a large threat to distance learning, but even the standard in-person learning model that we were used to prior, it posed major challenges to students without that quality technology or broadband connection at home. And luckily for my district, like many schools, we relied on Chromebooks within the classroom before the pandemic, and thus we were able to adapt to a one-on-one technology model where every student, regardless of family income or other circumstances, received a school Chromebook to keep at home so they could do their work. But unfortunately, even with this model, students with no or poor broadband connection still face a lot of struggles and discrepancies. And that is an issue that still remains unsolved for not only students in my community, but for thousands of students around the state. And even without these discrepancies in technology, distance learning continues to be a major stressor for students of all backgrounds. Through experience on the Minnesota Youth Council, or extracurricular activities, and day-to-day interactions with my classmates, one theme is unanimous throughout these times. we as students are exhausted. Young people across the state, regardless of their previous academic performance, are finding themselves unmotivated and struggling to keep up with coursework. All too many students, myself included, feel a lack of stability and support through such trying times. The status quo when it comes to student support is simply not enough. And I ask that as you head into the legislative session, that you simply have empathy and consideration for the health of students, whether it be mental, emotional, and physical, in your decision-making process. And as I conclude my testimony, I would like to thank Chair Davney and the committee administrator Sarah Burt for their continued support of Youth Voice and for this provided space to testify today. Myself and youth from all parts of Minnesota are grateful for your demonstrated efforts to ensure that no decision is made about us without us. Thank you.